Hello and welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, Australia's juiciest gaming podcast. I am your host for the week, James Wood, and tonight, very intimate, very special, very small time lads show. It's just me and our editor in chief, Zach Jackson.
Evening, nice to be here. Just you, James. Like you said,
I know, right? Last week you had no James, and now you've only got James.
Only James.
Yeah.
I'll subscribe to that.
Right, absolutely. For people who aren't watching the video, he's taking a drink, so it's it was kind of like a nice moment there. Zach, how are you this evening?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not too bad. The heat in Melbourne's been a bit shit. It's been a bit dry. You'd probably be feeling the same sweaty butthole that we're feeling
We've
over
had a
here.
warm heat actually. It's been reversed for us, but yes, it has been fucking gross. A lot of sweaty buttholes. You're right.
I know. Well, I went to a Bucks party on the weekend. My brother's Bucks party up in northern New South Wales, and that very humid, very sticky kind of hot. And yeah, then came back to Melbourne, and it was just dry, and you just can't escape it. Just can't escape it.
Unpleasant.
Good weekend though.
Not what you want. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad. So your brother's getting married.
He is getting married. That is correct.
It's exciting times. Is that putting pressure on you?
No. Mate, he's got kids. He's got the wedding almost.
He's already done
his bingo cards completed almost. So
okay.
I'm still waiting for my numbers to be called up. So
that's the spirit. That is the spirit. All right. Well, obviously, smaller show tonight. Bit different for us, but we have a pretty huge preview to talk about this week. We've both been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, so we will be getting to that very, very shortly. Zach, though, what have you been playing this week? What's been on the old bingo card, as it were, dance card?
To be honest, nothing. I have not played a game in a few days. Actually, that is a lie. I played one game of FC 25 today, but other than that, since I got back from Melbourne, to Melbourne on Sunday afternoon, I haven't touched it. Basically, just been focusing on this preview and yeah. How about you?
You know, it's funny because sometimes I still see you playing FC 25, and I go, "Is he still working on that review, or are you playing for fun?"
The review's up, mate.
Okay, sweet. That's fine then.
Come on, I'm playing for fun. This is.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Sure. All right.
Mate, I think you were maybe here, but basically I years and years ago, before we started WellPlayed, I just used to be FIFA, Destiny, and Payday. That was and Resident Evil when they would come out. That's essentially the 4 games that I would go through. Every now and again you'd get like a Dishonored or something that would come along and I'd be keen on, but yeah, that was pretty much it. So I used to love playing the manager mode. So for some reason, I was like, I'm going to get into the manager mode. And so, yeah, I played through a season already with Doncaster, taking them from League 2 to League 1. So I actually lost today for the first time this season, conceded a goal for the first time this season in 12 games. So gutted, devastating. But there you go.
I don't know what any of those words mean. Does that mean that like you didn't really get into games until WellPlayed? Like, am I understanding that correctly? Like, you were kind of like an annual gamer, it sounds like, but not a like where the point and click shit come from.
Well, okay, no, that's so no. So I played a lot of games when I was a kid, and then when I moved to Melbourne and had like a housemate and stuff like that, had a life. It just kind of we would just play the house. Me and my housemate, we'd just play FIFA. Like we'd start, we'd go through. So I didn't really have a lot of time, but and then I was playing like a lot of Destiny. But no, like whenever there was a story game that would come out, I would play that generally. But other than like those games, wasn't really until WellPlayed that I got right back into games again.
Right.
Okay. If there was an RE that came out, I'd be all over it. Yeah.
Well, the more you know.
The more you know.
I've been playing. I got back into Helldivers 2 quite a bit over the Christmas break. So that was a good fun time. That new update they dropped with the Game Awards has turned to be just more Helldivers, and that's more of a good thing. Get the lads back on. Everyone's still having a good time, so that's been good.
That's it.
I think the only other thing I played this week was Castlevania Symphony of the Night, because I finished Castlevania Nocturne on Netflix, and that made
On
me
Netflix.
like, yeah. Have you? Are you aware of this
No,
thing at all?
no, that's actually a really good, not segue, but I've always wondered how you play games on Netflix.
No. The Netflix has made an anime based on
Right,
Castlevania.
right.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Uh,
Because I
yeah.
know that you
But as
can
far as I can tell, you just download them from the App Store if you've got Netflix also installed on your phone. It like cross checks, I think,
Right.
to see if
Okay.
you
Okay.
can, or you download them from within the app as well. It's a whole thing. But
But you can't play them on your
um,
TV, or you can.
I've got no idea. I've only tried on my phone.
See
So
questions, eh?
yeah.
Anyway,
So
so
these are
it's
the yeah.
it's an anime, right? Okay.
Yeah, anyway, they made an anime. I finished it. Solid second season, but it put me in a Castlevania mood. So I downloaded Symphony of the Night and Wanderer of Blood, whatever. It's the collection on PlayStation. Fun times.
Trying to think the last Castlevania that I played because I didn't mind them. Um,
You absolutely would have gotten around the 3D grungy action one, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Symphony of. No. Well, you'll have to come back to me. Continue, and I'll
Mm.
find it.
I mean, that's all I really had to say. Castlevania games still rock. Good music, great animations. Alucard is hot. Just ticks all the boxes, you know?
Hmm.
Would the cum
Do
gutters
you,
be blood gutters?
oh,
These are the
that
questions.
is an interesting question. Are you more Castlevania than Devil
Metroid?
May Cry?
Oh, sorry, we went in two very different
I
directions
know
there.
we did.
Yeah, I've dabbled in Devil May Cry. I had a good time with DMC, the kind of like infamous reboot that they did. But I also haven't played that game since I was like an edgy teenager-ish myself, so don't quote me on that. But yeah, I've never really gotten into it.
I think the last one I played was Lords of the Shadow. Sorry, or Lords of
Yeah,
Shadow.
that makes sense.
Mm.
Mm. Hey, you know,
For reference, I do prefer Devil May Cry.
okay, that also makes sense. Yeah.
I used to be a big fiend, big Dante
Mm.
fiend.
Sorry, what was the name of that Castlevania, the last one you played?
Lords of Shadow.
Yeah, cool. Speaking of shadows, had to walk us back there. You and I have both recently been up to our good mates at Ubisoft in Sydney to play. Was it like 4 hours of
Yeah.
four-ish? Yeah,
Yep.
of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Yeah, why don't you kick us off? Given this is a well-played thing and you are from WellPlayed.
This is going to be a very interesting chat because we are on very two sides of the fence here.
We are.
So, I mean, where do we start? I guess at the start. So
That's it.
The reason why this is such an interesting conversation is because, and I've written this in my preview. I don't know if you have, but just the vibe like around this game, you know, being with all this rumor and stuff about Ubisoft's financial situation and how they really need this game to land to kind of at least keep the wolves at bay, or you know, to help keep them doing what they're doing for a lot longer. But so yeah, I think part of me coming into this kind of didn't really know what to expect because this game's had a couple delays, so I'm kind of like, you know, they're really taking their time. They really want to make this perfect. But really, I think after coming away from these 4 hours, I'm not surprised by what we've got, because to cut to the end here, like it is just more Assassin's Creed, right? And I don't know why in my head I ever thought it was going to be anything more than just more Assassin's Creed. I think from the build that we were playing, it is a lot more polished, and it's just, I think a lot of things are tighter and have been, you know, fine-tuned a bit better. But at the end of the day, if you were craving a Lords of the Fallen, Lords of the Fallen. I'm looking at Lords of the Shadow right now. If you were craving a Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan, I think you're going to be very, very pleased
Yeah.
with that. All right, back to the start. So, Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is, Ubisoft will tell you pretty much any chance they can get at this moment that this is the most requested setting they've had for an Assassin's Creed game. So we're set in the feudal Japan era, which is, let me just get back. This is 1539. I've got written here. 30. What's that?
1579, I believe.
Oh, is it 79? I wrote 39. So look, could be one of the two.
Give or take.
Yeah. We've got a 1.5 and we've got a 9. So the rest is up for debate. But it's during the Sengoku period. And this game features the two protagonists. You've got the samurai Yasuke, I think that's how you say that, who's the African samurai from Legend. And then you've got Naoe, who's the shinobi assassin there. So the cool thing about this game is that you actually have, this has the two protagonists, and like in previous games with Odyssey and Valhalla, you can actually, you got to choose whether you went I can't remember their name. So the feminine
the
option
boy or the girl route.
Yeah.
Is how they,
But here in Shadows, these stories actually intertwine and you get to play out through the game, and you can kind of choose who you want to go with at certain points in the game. And I believe I never really got a chance to actually test this, because when I tried to do it during the preview, which I was told explicitly you can't do that, I tried it anyway and the game crashed. So, but I think you can... I think during the game, when you're just in the open world, you can actually switch at any point in the game, because there is an option for that in the menu. So yeah, this game tells the story of these two characters, and you can kind of choose who you want to be at any sort of given time. There will be moments during the game, whether they're during a mission or whatnot, where the game will actually ask you, do you want to play as Yasuke? Wait, Yasuki? Now I can't remember his name.
Yasuke.
It is Yasuke. There you go. Yasuki, that's not good. Or now. And I quite like that. I quite like that you are given that these two stories intertwine, and we can't really talk about the opening bits that we played, but the opening 45 minutes of the preview sort of gave a lot of introduction to these two characters and their kind of place in the world and the events that kind of lead up to, the story kind of taking off. And I thought they were very, very well done. I thought they were quite well written, very, very well voice acted. There is actually an immersion mode that you can choose. I think that's what it's called.
Did you choose immersion mode?
I did.
Okay, so did I. I was hoping someone here chose English so we could compare, but...
Well, I can answer that question slightly, but... Okay. So immersion mode is basically, it is all the languages that are being spoken, their actual dialects and stuff like that. So Yasuke is basically, I think he's Portuguese, or he's speaking Portuguese when he first gets to Japan, and then obviously the Japanese are speaking Japanese. So you're getting that kind of language and it's really good. The only knock against that I would say is that when you're playing the game and you've got to kind of trying to concentrate on different things, is that I found it very hard to kind of be like, it's not like watching a movie, right, where you can kind of focus on the subtitles and kind of still capture what's going on. But when you're playing a game, you're trying to do stuff and they're talking, you're trying to do, I found that a little bit distracting. From memory, one of the people that I went with, they flicked over from immersion mode into English, and apparently it was not very good.
Okay.
So make of that what you will.
Yep.
But yeah, I thought those first bits, and this is what I really shits me a little bit about the Assassin's Creed games or the Ubisoft formula or whatever it might be, is they have these really tight story-driven sequences that you like. If you just did away with all the fluff and all the bloat, and you just made a real tight story-driven game, I think you'd be fucking good at it. Like, you've obviously got the budget, but so yeah, and then we kind of fast forward through the game, and then we end up in another section, and then from there we kind of get to explore the open world Japan, which by the way is fucking gorgeous, especially when like when the rain was coming down, it just looked like, but these running on absolute tank of
Yeah, beast machines.
o-
Yeah.
of hardware, right? That we'd have to
Mm,
sell our kidneys to bloody get on. But
mm.
yeah, so the world, I thought the world was really really gorgeous. I really really liked how. So just sorry, I skipped over this bit a bit, but the two characters Yasuke and Nawe, they actually have two separate playstyles. So Yasuke is a powerful beast. He's basically all about combat and not brutality, but he's a fighter, right? Whereas Nawe is more of a uh, you're still focused, slipping in and out. She's got the parkour skill. She's got the grapple, the hook that she can, get up in higher areas of buildings. What I quite liked about the design of the world is that the game has obviously got that in mind. Like, it still feels very authentic, if you want to. Not that I was around back then, but it's been designed where it accommodates both of those play styles. And you and I spoke to Luke Plant, I think is how you say his name. I actually don't remember how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Plant,
Right.
who's the
Plant?
lead level director, designer, or something like that from.
Quest, actually,
So
which I found
Quest.
out way too
Okay,
late, but yeah.
right. Okay, he's Quest. Right, level
Yeah.
Quest, same thing. Um,
It's all the same.
um, so yeah, when I was speaking with him, they were kind of like, we basically had that in mind when we were designing our Japan. Is that we've got to have a mode of entry for Yasuke, who doesn't have the parkour, but he can, like, for example, he can ram through doors. If a door's locked on the other side, he can kind of barge through it. Whereas he doesn't. He can reach, like, anything that is within his reach, like a roof. He can pull himself up, but he can't, like, anything that he can't reach. He can't, like, grapple up, and he can't really climb, much higher up. So, and one thing I did find interesting is that when you walk along those tight ropes, if you're actually going as Yasuke, they will break, and he will fall to the ground. So yeah, whereas Naue can use the grapple hooks, and there might be like an open window somewhere on a building further up, that kind of thing. So they've designed. I wouldn't say it's definitely not immersive sim like a Dishonored kind of thing, but there's ways to achieve your goal, whether you be Yasuke or
Yeah.
Naue.
They've definitely pulled in some ImSim stuff. Like, this is the first Assassin's Creed where you can manipulate light. So
Yep.
you can, if you douse a torch, it puts the area into shadow, and then you can't be seen in that area. Small system in the grand scheme of things. I don't know if you found this as well, but I found that the torches and the lanterns that I could and couldn't put out, no consistency at all in what I could actually knock down with my little shuriken throws. I did some in the tutorial, and then I tried to do them again later in the open world, and they would just get stuck in the lantern, and the lantern would stay on. So I don't I don't think it's as
Sure.
maybe im-simmy as it could be, but it is a step in the right direction for the franchise.
I'll be honest. I spent most of my time as Yasuke.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, only because I was a bit scared to change in fear of the game crashing again. So
I was constantly shifting back and forth. Like,
yeah, right. You mean like, so
yeah.
when it would ask you?
No, not when it would ask. As in, like, I would just open the menu, hold the button down, and switch
Yeah,
between them
right.
when I
So you
wanted
must
to.
have either been in the mission part where you could, because I know that from memory, it was in like 3 bits basically. The preview, you could. One was like you have to choose the person that you're going to play as, and you have to play through that mission. And then I
Yeah.
believe after that mission, you could then flick it out, I think. Or I
Right,
just
okay.
maybe I got unlucky, and maybe the game simply did just crash.
Yeah, right, okay. Huh,
Um,
weird.
yeah, right. I spent most of my time. I'd say 70-30%, 70% Yasuke,
Yeah,
30%
same, but opposite
Naue.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really just I will say though, on now Yasuke, when you played as him, did you find him too mobile, too agile?
My problem with him is that I didn't find him fun to play almost at all.
Okay.
Like, that's kind of my takeaway from this experience, is that, like, they've built this beautiful sandbox of this Japan setting that everyone's always wanted, and they put a character in it who can't use 80% of the stuff that they've built. So like for her, there are so many ways you can enter a building. You can flip up on roofs, you can crawl down, you can go prone now. It's like a new
Correct.
system they've implemented. And also when she moves through the world, she's just really fast and is constantly flipping over everything. It's funny at times, but it is at least it's very Assassin's Creedy. And then with him, every time I played as him, I would just walk through a gate because there's nothing else I could do. Like I had to just walk into the front door of a building and be like, "Hello, I'm here now. Let's fight." And I also just he kind of controls like a fridge to me. So I definitely didn't find him too nimble.
Interesting. I found him for someone who's like, built like a brick shithouse. I thought
Mm.
he was very agile.
Too handsy.
I kind of expected a little bit more weight and
Right.
heft behind him. Like,
Okay.
it's like kind of like when you play. I don't know. Let's go back to the mishap before, but like Lords of the Fallen, for example, when you have a big dude like that, they control weightier, they're tankier kind of thing. He's
Right.
very, very similar to Naue in the way he moves. I think he's like in terms of speed. I don't think there's a huge difference in speed and that sort of stuff. I think which is what I found quite interesting.
Right.
Yeah, because he's just he's kind of this overpowerful. Like he's almost too powerful in combat. Like
Yeah. Dude has so much health.
yeah. Tell you what he does. He has a mean kick. That kick. I've always loved the Sparta kick. It's awesome.
Agreed. It's a great kick. Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree.
But on the combat side of things, I found the combat generally. I found it a bit more like immersive, a bit more reward, like a bit more satisfying to kind of engage in. And I don't know if that's because of it's samurais versus like I know that like Mirage, for example. I think he had like he had a sword, didn't he?
He did, but combat was very de-emphasized in Mirage,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
So I just felt like it was more of a focus kind of here. I think they'd put a bit more work into it, but it does follow the same kind of principle, like dodge, parry kind of thing. But you also get range weapons. So with Naue, it's the throwing stars.
Shurikens. Yeah.
Shurikens, yep. I always, whenever I see that, I just think of Street Fighter. I just...
Sure.
And now Yasuke has a gun. He has a rifle. Yeah, which is pretty cool. And then, but they also have these. I called them special attacks in my preview because I couldn't remember the term for them. But like these moves that are on cooldowns, basically that are quite cool. Like there's some pretty brutal like attacks in here and some cool finishes. I think Yasuke has this really cool like execution where he like beheads an enemy, which is quite sick.
Yep. Naue has one with a chain where she just like basically just whips that thing around and anything in its parameter gets hit by it. I love the animations on those. I didn't love the black and white with the red blood splatters. I thought that shit was tacky.
Yeah, what's the word for that? Like that's a style. I couldn't think of the.
They're trying to do like a Kurosawa thing. With the whole
I was like, I know the
black and white Japanese film, but
I know what they're going for, but I don't. Yeah, I was like,
didn't need it.
No, it did feel a little bit gimmicky. But I will say I did like the blood spatter that was like that kind of came after that. When you do like a cool execution, there's like blood like on the wall kind of thing. I did quite like that. Yeah, I mean, you can jump in at any point. I'm just kind of following.
Oh yeah, no, you're fine. There's like 20 different things that you've said I kind of want to reply to, so like it's going to be a whole conversation here. But
let's.
No, I do. So big picture, I do agree with you, and I made this a point in my preview as well. But like, they feel hungry for this to work for them, and you can kind of understand why, given everything around Ubisoft wide, and also everything around Assassin's Creed Shadows being kind of like a hot topic, culture war bullshit kind of thing going on around that game as well. I understand all of that, and so they kind of pitched it to us as like the ultimate Assassin's Creed, and I think that term is either going to like turn you on or turn you off, basically, because I agreed to do this preview because I was like, they're going to be doing something different because they need to shake it up. They need to really get in there and rejuvenate Assassin's Creed. And they've kind of half done it. I think there's a lot of systems where they've tried to do some things here, but at the end of the day, I still felt like I was just playing an Assassin's Creed game. And in 2025 now, that shit's kind of old hat. Really, really old hat. Like, I remember the first time the game was like, follow this NPC while they give you some exposition while you get to the next quest mark. I was like, oh, we're still here. Like, we're just still
Oh,
doing
yeah.
these same things.
But I do love that there's, you can just push the follow button and that's...
Yes. So here's the thing. They let you auto follow. Awesome. Cool. I could put my controller down. I could look at my phone, whatever I need to do while Assassin's Creed characters are jabbering on about whatever. But then to initiate the next cutscene, you have to pick the controller back up and walk forward 2 steps before the cutscene will play. So it doesn't even seamlessly transition. It doesn't effectively remove the grind point from you. Like, okay, there's another system they've tried to implement here where they've sold this as, we understand that there's been too much screen clutter in previous Assassin's Creed games, and we've tried to guide you with too many icons and all of this. And so they've done away with it and instead said you'll get a general area for a quest, and if you walk around town, you can hear people overhear rumors, and those will fill in sort of like more information about where that quest could possibly be. So it's like, he's in the fish district and he's wearing red. Cool. I like this as a concept. It gets you more immersed in the world. But they've also paired it with this other system the game heavily pushes on you, your scouts, where you open the map and you can deploy scouts to a certain area on the map. And those scouts will highlight everything in that area, including your quest markers. And so they still give you the systems to just implement the same screen clutter, but now they've added an extra step of having the player be the one to do it themselves. And without those systems in place, I often struggled to find what I was meant to be finding because the nebulous directions were a bit too nebulous sometimes. I had a few of them unlocked and I still didn't quite know how to get into a particular house where a quest was at or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's just, for me, it's like, it's Assassin's Creed, but with extra steps now is what a lot of this feels like to me. Even if some of those extra steps are admirable in the attempts that they're making here, I still kind of struggle to be like, where's the interesting part of this? And all of that said, like 20 million people played Valhalla. Like, people fucking love these games, and they probably love this one as well. I think that for a lot of people, a lot of the criticisms that I have are going to be mute points because they like the formula of Assassin's Creed. But as someone who I want the next Origins, I want their next leap forward for this franchise, and I think the Japan setting could have been a great place to do it in. But it's just more Assassin's Creed.
Just on that, I did find it quite interesting, but very quickly, the scout thing, just to add, I don't know if you noticed this, but it's limited. So I don't quite know how it works because I didn't use all my scouts, right? So, and I did find it a very boring way of having to do it. You go to the map, you push triangle, you highlight the area on the map where you want to go, and then it just populates. It's not like, let's wait for nightfall or the next, because there is like a night cycle thing here. It's just like, it's an instant kind of thing. And even if it gave you the option to like skip time, because I think you can do that, right? I think you can skip. I know you can skip seasons.
I don't know. I wanted to try because I wanted to wait until nightfall to try a mission, but I just couldn't find a way to do it.
Maybe you can't skip time, but maybe I think there's a seasons thing which you can change.
Yeah, there's a seasonal change now. Did you have your seasons change at any point during your session?
I didn't pay enough notice to notice. I was too busy unplugging machines, mate.
Very fair. I had one seasonal change happen. I think it shifted from like, I don't know, autumn to summer or fucking whatever the flow is of seasons. But I remember thinking like, are we just really deep into a seasonal cycle at the beginning of this demo and that's why it's kicked in? Or are these seasons going to be like cycling through every 4 hours or so, which makes no sense to me personally. Like, as an immersive thing, it's like it's been 2 in-game days, but whatever.
Yeah, I think that's where, and we're going completely off topic here, but that's where the narrative driven stuff I think works for that better. Like, let's talk about like, The Last of Us, right? You do a mission and it's fall or whatever, and then you do it like it's like, I don't know, 90 days later, whatever the fuck it might be, and we're in winter anyway. But yeah, I do think having that system here is much harder to, because it's like you can't have a month in 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but when I asked our man, I was like, so we've had a lot of games with this feudal Japan setting recently. What are you doing to make Shadows stand out? And his response was, it's an Assassin's Creed game. Like that was essentially his first answer to that question. He goes, well, first of all, it's an Assassin's Creed game. And I'm like, But then,
Sure.
yeah, and then he was like, we've got our dual protagonist, so that's kind of the
Yeah.
hook there. So I think that tells
Hmm.
you everything about what you kind of
Yeah,
just
I think it does as well. I
yeah
remember at one point I decided I was going to spend like my last hour just roaming the open world, just see what this thing feels like outside of missions and whatnot. And I found like, oh, here's a shrine that you go and pray at to get a skill point, or there's some animals playing that you can observe and write a little like haiku drawing about. I just couldn't help but think like, we've just done all of this in Ghost of Tsushima, and I know it's not
mm,
necessarily fair to say like it's a one-to-one comparison. And when that game came out, there was a lot of talk about it eating Assassin's Creed's lunch. And I think it did, just in more ways than one. It's an elegant refinement of what Assassin's Creed is doing, which is just adding systems onto systems onto systems. And so this kind of ends up feeling like it's just old hat, like aesthetically, tonally. I think all the. How did you feel about the story stuff? Let's maybe touch on that.
I quite like the opening bits, right? And this is where
Yeah.
to your point, like because we're kind of in the same. I remember when you finished your. Oh no, might have been when I finished mine. I can't remember whatever way it was. I was like, I enjoyed the 4 hours, right? But
Hmm.
I just the thought of doing 60 plus hours of this again, it's just
Yeah.
not for me. Not not for me, but it just I feel tired thinking about that. I feel like
Yeah.
um that's why I'm like, give me that tight narrative driven thing. Like,
Mm.
just tell me where to go. Like, just force me. Like, even if
Yeah.
it's linear, but give me open zones. Anyway, the story
Mm.
stuff. Yeah, I really quite liked the early bits that we can't sort of
Mhm.
discuss. The other side of it, I don't know if I really paid enough attention, to be honest.
I think that's kind of your answer, right? Is it like I agree.
Yeah,
Like I remember the prologue stuff very clearly. I thought that Naoe's prologue stuff was pretty boilerplate Assassin's Creed. Yasuke, I fucking loved. I thought he was
yeah.
compelling, interesting, great stuff going on with that character. But then everything in the open world, those like series of missions that we did about like find the guy's son and then kill the guy, and like it's just I don't know. Like I didn't feel anything out of it. There was no real character work going on. I think a lot of the writing was just very exposition heavy. I mean, it's written like an Assassin's Creed game.
I will say on that, and I haven't got this in my preview because I didn't really know where to kind of put it in, right? But on that story about the kid, that's actually a so I basically asked them, did they go to Japan and do research kind of thing, and he said
Hmm,
yeah, and they kind of learn about these things that had happened during those times, and it was like that sort of thing did happen. Like the kid kind of got
right,
taken, so they kind of so like that's so they were
and that's cool. That's fine. But
um
it just
but like again, like I think it's just that the way that these stories are told, like the cutscene stuff, like I'm kind of there, kind of, but the
yeah,
walking, like the following the people, then it's
oh,
like, then it's just like, all right, let's get the phone out,
exactly. Yeah,
and then you're
because
like,
it's just like monotoning information at you. It's really not engaging at all. With the
mm,
cutscenes, do you think it's odd that like this game looks so incredible in so many ways, and then the facial animations are still like Assassin's Creed facial
I
animations?
just feel like it's very hard to get facial animations right. I just don't know what it is. It's an art that
Mm,
it seems like just PlayStation have got nailed.
yeah. Yep,
Um,
I agree. I don't know what it is about Assassin's Creed faces. I just could not tell what they were supposed to be feeling at any given moment.
I
Very
do
jarring.
also wonder on that whether that is this is not really it's not really a reason because all games have this kind of thing, but whether it's the multiple languages, you know, is
Mm.
that kind of does that make it a little bit like how do
Yeah,
you
like the lip syncing harder,
yeah,
and I think it's more about the eyes, man. I think those eyes are just
right.
kinda like
Just those
low
uncanny
light.
valley yeah, they
Yeah,
just I mean,
it's
they're
just
like all of us when we play these games, they're just dead inside. Like
fuck. Like I don't know. Like I don't like I'm not mad at it. I'm not coming
mm,
away from this with like a typical James like fuck this kind of game reaction. It's
mm.
nothing that intense. I just don't think there's anything here that inspires intensity in either direction. I think that it's a serviceable Assassin's Creed game. But one of the biggest things I talk about in my preview is that I think splitting up the protagonists power set is hugely detrimental to this thing, because I want to play as Yasuke because of the story, but I want to play as Naoe because of her ability to just be in an Assassin's Creed game. And that's a core tension that I don't know how they could possibly solve. It seems like an odd choice to me. But
I guess as if I'm playing, Defender here, then why not just follow the same path as the last two games? Just make you choose male or female. If you want to,
I think just go back to one protagonist. Just write an actual central protagonist who is like,
Okay.
they're both technically thematically relevant to what's going on with the broader picture, but 4 hours is also not enough of a time for us to make that judgment call necessarily. But I just found, I don't know. It's just it's trying to do so much, and I think that Yasuke's story is so distinctly different from Naoe's in ways that are genuinely interesting and new for Assassin's Creed. Like the racial tension that he has with that country
Yeah.
is fucking fascinating.
Yeah.
And then I'm just constantly
like-
having to ignore it because I want to play a fun game instead. Like it sucks.
The opening, those opening sequences and the way they deal with that, I think is
My
fascinating.
favorite part of the entire thing. Yeah, I agree. When you got offered the choice in front of the guy, did you speak up or did you stay silent?
Spoke up.
Yeah, same. I was like, no, come on. Yeah, get in there.
I had this thought, right? And this might make no sense. This isn't going to make no sense to anyone listening, but you've seen John Wick, yeah?
Yeah.
The Naoe narrative thing felt like the John Wick narrative. If you know what I'm saying. Because it's like...
I do.
We're going through all this over this.
Yeah. Her story did not interest me much at all. I wrote some notes, some very unflattering notes during her final cutscenes in that prologue.
Yes. Anyway, we should definitely put a little disclaimer. This is only a preview, so I know we are sounding very definitive at some points. That's just what happens when we get together.
That's it. Yeah, the takes start flowing. Yeah.
So things might improve, but like you are right though. Like they have tried a number of things here. Like they're going the prone. There's this like reveal mechanic, and I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you might have touched on it, but about the whole light thing, like that enemies are responsive to light. So, and not so much like, you're just putting it out and you're going dark and you're in the light, but yeah, they notice shit. What else have I written here? I think that might be it. I think we've talked all about it pretty much because we talked about the scouts.
I can't really think of anything else to touch on. I was sad that we didn't get to try the base building aspect that they've been showing in trailers.
Yes.
I thought slam dunk to give us a hands-on with that, but no. Nope.
Your hideout, or I think they...
Yeah, you can build up a little base of operations and put farming patches down or something. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like there's so much obviously in this game that it's very thirsty. I think it really wants to be liked.
I liked it. I will say I came away positive. I'm not going to say though, which is funny because I made the prediction before going hands on that I thought this game would get a higher Metascore than Ghost of Yotai. Have I changed my mind? Who's to know? But
yeah,
I think this is a good Assassin's Creed game. Or this will be a good Assassin's Creed game. I think people I think the people who love the previous ones, the big bloody ones, I think they will find a lot here. I just hope the story is good.
Me too.
Because I just can't do fucking 60 hours. And actually, did you notice on the map, you might have noticed this right at the very end, there was a mission sort of towards the top and it had like a much higher level than what we were in the preview.
Notice that. Yeah.
Now, I didn't try and do the mission, but I did ask our guy, I was like, are we going to be essentially forced to go and do more shit to grind up? He kind of really didn't give me an answer. So
I The vague answer I got is that like nothing in the world physically is level gated, but I'm not sure if that extends to activating a quest. So I just don't know where
Because
we
that was
land
my
on that.
beef with Origins, is I kind of wanted to be like Golden
Mm,
Path. If something cool comes along the way and I'll do it, I'll do it. If I don't, I'll just keep
yeah,
going. And then I got to the point where I
yeah.
couldn't do the main missions because I wasn't high enough level, and that's what I don't
Mm,
like. I think
yeah.
smart games should uh, tier, or whatever the word is I'm thinking of, should auto. Uh,
Oh, it's
what's
like
what
an
I'm thinking of?
adaptive
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
you know,
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, if I mean, I don't even have 60 hours to kind of put into this.
Mm, no.
Um, but yeah, yeah. I did
Yeah.
ask him about co-op, and he said there was never any plans for co-op. So we'll see if those rumors that multiplayer co-op mode is going to come true.
Oh, I
But
forgot about that. Yeah.
yeah, um, so we'll see. Anyway, you can read both of our previews up on mine over at WellPlayed and James's over at Press Start. So go check those out. I don't think we've got anything else to say. That's
I
it.
don't think
Yeah,
so.
no, I think we
Yeah,
covered. I mean, we covered a fair bit, really.
we did.
Nice,
Yeah, good
nice
chat.
little tight body. Before we
um,
go off though, because I just thought about this just before. No shout outs in terms of reviews or previews, but I will say that there is Kieran's put up that is put up a nice little feature on the Switch, on the Switch 2, sorry, I should say. So just go check that out. There was another one as well. What was the other one?
another feature,
Oh no,
or
sorry, we haven't done it yet, but we keep an eye out. Sorry for the ANZ made games of the year. That feature is coming, so check
mm,
that out when it
hot.
hits.
That's it.
All right,
Yeah, great.
good stuff.
Let's get into it. We do have
Let's.
a little bit of news to cover before we, call it a night tonight. Do you want to start with PlayStation or Nintendo? What are you feeling?
Well, I got really nothing to add for you for Nintendo, so let's go with Nintendo. We just spoke about KV's
Yeah,
piece, so let's
that's true.
ride his
That's true.
coattails.
Switch 2. There's a Switch 2. It's bigger. The Joy-Cons seem to be mice now. Nintendo put out like a 2-minute trailer randomly in the middle of the night. More information coming in fucking April. So we've got quite a long wait to go before we get anything else going on here. Mario Kart was playing on it as well. That's kind of it. There's not much else to
Mm.
talk about. I think it's a beautiful design. I love this new look. I'm sad it's not called whatever the fuck my prediction for the name of this thing was meant to be. Swatch. I don't know. Remember
I I
the
vaguely
stitch
remember.
up? I don't know.
Yeah.
I had a name for it. But anyway, it is just called Switch 2. Some people are having feelings about that. That's not, innovative enough. People wanted it to be less iterative. I disagree. Sort of the point of Kieran's piece is also that like Switch is S tier godly form factor for gaming hardware. And I think iterating on that is a smart thing for Nintendo to do, especially when you've got all these people already in the door understanding the form factor and making games more approachable for them, let's say. So, yeah.
Yeah, the other good thing about Kieran's piece is it talks a bit about Nintendo when they experiment and they get it wrong. It tanks hard.
Mm,
Like the
it
GameCube,
does.
probably to be fair, it tanked. I think it's a great machine. I've still got my GameCube,
Love a
but
GameCube. Yeah.
didn't do very well. Right, then they went and did the Wii,
Mhm.
completely different
Yep.
to what they've done before. It worked. Did the Wii U, not so much.
Mm.
But the Switch, I think, is such a success that you can't really deviate too much from what is working, because even
Yeah. I
now
mean,
that thing
it's an
still
industry
sells.
blue at this point.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Steam's emulating it, all these other hardware people are emulating. Like, I think it's okay to miss Nintendo's sort of like big swings on this stuff, but I also think they only ever took those swings in search of this kind of form factor, in search of the final kind of frontier for them. And I think this thing is as close to perfect as they can get it. I'm really curious what they're going to do with these Joy-Cons. I think the little magnetic clippy thing, I don't know. Sure. Why not?
Mm, why not? What do you think of the little
Yeah.
colors on the side there? Think that was pretty hot?
I like it. The little pops of color on the side and under the sticks as well. I think it's a really sleek looking bit of hardware. I am going to be heartbroken when that screen turns out to not be an OLED though. So
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because we don't know specs yet, but is that the rumor that it's not OLED?
I think the rumor is that it's not OLED. They're going back to whatever the other one is. The first Switch had it. It's that kind
LCD,
of
you
it's the
mean?
muted screen. LCD. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Which bleh.
Weird. Like, is that? Do you think
I
that's
think it's a
because of
price
this?
thing.
Is it, or is it an upgrade thing, or is it like planned obsolescence kind of thing?
Oh, well, yeah, like so you can get your Switch 2 too. Yeah.
You can get your Switch to OLED.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, look, there's definitely a world in which I would wait to pick up a Switch 2 for a couple of years so I could grab an OLED Switch 2. It
Mm.
just seems redundant, but we'll see.
We'll see. We will see. So
Mm.
you based on that preview, the trailer, Mario, whatever the fuck we're up to, Mario Kart number
Mario Kart 9, I want to say.
would be coming at the very, very
10?
least.
Yeah, I think it'll be a launch title, which makes sense. Mario Kart is like astronomically popular, way more than anyone ever thinks it is. And so I think hardware gating the next one behind your new hardware.
I completely forgot. I lied to you. I have not. I have been playing some stuff. So when I went and stayed, it just completely reminded me. I just tried to bury this fucking memory. But
Oh, yeah.
when I went and stayed at a friend's house before the Bucks party, we actually played some Switch. We played Super Smash Bros. And we played Super Mario Jamboree.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god! How the can anybody find Super Mario Jamboree fun? That is one of the most awful games I've ever played. I hated it at every point. You know, the whole experience of playing with, who I was playing with was good, but just that game sucks. And Super Smash Bros. Just grow up, honestly. Like, play a real fighting
Nah, see,
game.
I was with you on Party. I don't like Mario Party particularly either, but Smash Bros is great.
I just don't dig it. It's just not. Like, in my defense, I couldn't get my head around the backwards controls for the fighting. So, in like a normal fighting game, when I say normal, like on PlayStation, you'd have the buttons would be
An
what
adult
they are,
fighting game.
like, and then the fucking Switch has got them all like around the wrong way. So,
Oh, I'm with you. Yeah.
so I'm trying to bloody jump and I'm kicking, and anyway, there you go. So I actually did play some games. I forgot. You just reminded me. You just draw that memory out of me.
Look, it's what I'm here for. It's what a good host does, Zach. You know, just pulling it all out. Speaking of pulling out, Sony PlayStation has pulled the plug on two live service games that weren't announced by Bend and Bluepoint. This is from a report from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. So we have learnt that Bluepoint, who had obviously done the Demon's Souls remake, very beloved studio for their remake work, were working on a live service God of War game, which is
wild times two.
Mate.
Why would you do God of War as a live service? Two, why would you put Bluepoint on that?
Makes absolutely zero sense to me. I'm not sure if the report itself goes into what Bend was working on because I don't pay for Bloomberg, so I'm not going to do that.
No, they were always saying that it was a new IP.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So they're Concord.
Essentially, yeah. I think there are two ways to look at this. I think this is really shit. What I will say is that Sony, well, what Jason has said or has reported is that PlayStation has said that this might have layoffs, unfortunately, but they won't be closing any of these studios.
Right.
So that is good.
Small blessings. Yeah. Could you imagine if they closed Bluepoint over a live service God of War? People would fucking riot.
But they'd probably riot over Bend as well. Well, some of them would probably riot over Bend.
What has Ben done? Why do I know the name?
Well, they did Siphon Filter back in the day.
Oh.
And then they got
right.
bored.
Yeah.
Well, maybe don't hold me to that exact lineage, but I know that the people from Bend did Siphon Filter. I'm pretty sure
Right. Okay.
they were Siphon. Maybe get a fact check on that. But then they did Days Gone.
Oh,
And I know that
well,
people. Well, you laugh. I
I
somewhat
know that game has its shooters. I get it.
laugh, but that sold quite well, like for what it was. And they had
Mm,
all these
okay.
plans for number 2, and they got shut down. And then just knowing
Mm,
because I liked it. I think I gave it a 7 in my review. I went
yeah.
back and properly played it, and I'm thereabouts 7.5, maybe an 8 if I'm feeling generous.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
so I would have liked to have seen like a Days Gone 2, see what they would have done, with another time on that. But to know that they kind of got refused that to be put onto a live service game, which is now just fucking canned,
Mm,
is just frustrating because it's like that game did
yeah.
sell, and I think
Mm.
it's speaks volumes of Jim Ryan's tenure now. I think like we've spoken about that a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's
Yep.
just since he's been gone, um, yeah, yeah,
Like this is an unfortunate byproduct of them having to course correct, but I am glad they are course correcting. I don't want all this. Like nobody
no,
wants all of this.
no, and I
Um,
think that's what you've got to. And I think I've said it before, and we've said it here before. You've got to commend Sony a little bit, even though it's a monumental waste of money. So you can't be like praising them for being like, good
mm,
job and wasting all this money, but you got to commend them for knowing when to pull out.
yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and they would have known that they were going to get pretty, backhanded from all these things, but it makes sense because
Mm,
everyone is saying the same thing. We don't want all these live service games.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Definitely feels like Concord put the fear of God into that entire operation. So,
yeah. So what
mm.
happens with fair games? Like, what do you? Because I said one of my predictions was it would be delayed indefinitely.
What is fair games?
Fair games is the heist game coming from Jade someone.
Oh, oh,
Um,
okay.
I can't remember their name. What's their name? Just looking.
It is ringing a bell. I'm trying to fact check as we speak. Oh, this thing. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Haven Interactive. And who's the
Yeah. Oof, God, I don't know. Um,
Haven?
I think that thing launches. Is that free to play? Is that what they're pitching it as?
I don't think they were. No,
Maybe they will after Jade Raymond. By
Jade
the way,
Raymond. I knew it
you're
was
trying to
Jade. There
think
you
of.
go. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want. I mean, it sucks, right? Because like all this work is done under NDA, and so you've got studios who've dedicated years of their lives to these things that they can't even put on a resume. Really, they can't show off the work that was done, and so I don't necessarily want to see any of this get canned as such. Not in that way, anyway. But I don't know. I mean, the fact that like I had seen the fuck, what was that game called that we were just talking about? Fair Play,
fair games.
Fair Games. Already forgotten it. Like it's just I don't know. I don't know what you do with that.
Do you okay? What's worse on your resume? Uh,
Hmm.
Cancelled project or fucking epic bomb of the
Concord.
century? Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, Concord you get a demo reel out of, but
yeah,
unannounced or not released title. At least you can be like, I did great work.
yeah. But then it's like, oh yeah, I worked on the game that fucking Sony pulled after 2 weeks and then closed.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be surprised if anyone in the hiring position in this industry wasn't aware of the current market and sort of like
Yeah,
wouldn't at least be sympathetic to that as a concept. But I do think like, yeah, it's
because I do think that from what we hear, Concord wasn't actually bad.
no, I mean like
Yeah,
the 2 or 3 times I played, I was like, yeah, this is fine. Like,
it just didn't get it.
not the
It just
market
didn't get
for
an
it.
audience. So you can
Yeah,
have the
exactly.
best game, but if you can't get an audience as a live service, then you're fucking no good. Just
Yeah.
on that, uh, Bend, yes, Bend is the same studio that did Siphon Filter. So they actually did Bubsy 3D. Oh, they did it for PlayStation.
Oh,
There you go. And they
there
did
you go.
Resistance Retribution for the PSP.
They did seem to. They did the Uncharted ones as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Wow.
at least we're what is also really fucking annoying about this whole thing is that this feels like it's going to make the PS5 generation very barren. If we're canceling
Yeah.
all these games, like, if Bend, and you would think so, Bend haven't really been that deep in production on another game. You'd think they're just pretty much, all eggs in that basket. They ain't putting out a PS5 game. You know what I mean? Like,
No, exactly. Same with Blue Point. Like,
yeah.
they could have had a Bloodborne remake ready by now. I don't necessarily know if I want that, but yeah,
I
could be
really
there.
thought they were doing Metal Gear Solid. That was what I was.
Mm.
I think they were rumored. Maybe it was shot down like ages ago, but it just kind of made sense.
Yeah, I all I'd ever heard was that the original stuff that they were working on, and it had something to do with magic, but this is never obviously what I expected. But
right.
yeah,
If they said it was original, then
yeah.
I obviously missed that bloody memo.
Bummer.
Yeah. How would you? What is a god? If you're Blue Point and you're pitching a God of War live service, what are you pitching? How, like,
3-player extraction shooter. Well, extraction action game, rather. Sorry, not shooter.
Action?
Yeah, I think you do a teams of 3.
Was that a pun?
What?
Did you say 3-player action?
Extraction.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you then said like AX.
An extraction action game.
Yeah, when you said action, I thought you were using like the axe as a pun.
Oh, no. Although, yeah, I mean, like one of them would have the axe, one would have the chains, one would have the fucking gauntlets. Like you'd have your classes built around these things.
And it's different Kratoses.
No, I guess you could do like other pantheon gods as like a players Athena with the. No, I don't want to have to censor that out later. The chains anyway. Yeah, I think you could have made some milquetoast piece of shit, and people would have probably been like, "Oh, okay," but don't do that.
How funny though! Like Last of Us, one of the best story-driven games we've got, pivoted to live service, binned. God of War, as much as you don't like it, pivoted to live service,
it's up there,
binned.
And then
we also heard that the Horizon MMO, which is not the Horizon multiplayer game that Guerrilla are working on, but the MMO, which is by someone else, that report is on Eurogamer that I read, has been cancelled as well. So they're just... that old tax return is going to be good for Sony this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like this in the same way that I don't like Xbox's broader direction. Like, it's just like, what the fuck are we doing here? But I don't know. I guess PS6 will course correct and we'll get some good games again.
Yeah. All right. Other quick news is the Unknown 9, while we're talking about cancellations and all that sad stuff. Unfortunately, Reflector Entertainment, they have essentially scrapped all future plans for Unknown 9 as a franchise. So no further video games. That I think the report I read from Eurogamer mentioned that there were 2 projects in development. One potentially being, well, in development, I say that with air quotes, in conceptual phase, I think is what it says.
Yeah.
One potentially being a sequel or a different game in the world. But it stems from, I guess, Unknown 9 Awakening just flopping hard, which is a real shame because, again, like we've talked about it and we all say it, we all want these new ideas, we want these new games, we want these new stories and new characters and new worlds and blah, blah, blah. And then when we get them, we don't support them.
No, straight in the bin. Yeah.
And I really think that AA space is getting harder as well because they are so close to that AAA quality, but they're not. So then people who really are like, well, this looks shit kind of thing. This looks budget, this looks cheap, versus like an indie game, which is obviously got a budget, but more stylized and kind of, and that. So, and I think when you are kind of aspiring for that level, because Unknown 9 did look not rough, but looked a
It
little
had some
bit.
crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I thought that's it's a shame. Thankfully, the
I
studio's
agree.
not closing. They are still working on another game through Bandai. Because I didn't actually realize, but
That's
Bandai
good.
bought them.
Yeah,
But
I
they
mean,
will
Bandai
be layoffs.
seems pretty all in on this as a vision, which
Mhm.
to me, the biggest mistake of Unknown 9 is trying to launch it as a multimedia empire from the jump. That's ridiculous. Just slowly build up to it. I think the game alone was like a really fun 7 out of 10. Yeah, it wasn't going to blow anybody away, but it was a good start. And if you just started there and slowly built up instead of trying to,
Well, the game wasn't the
yeah.
first thing, though. This is what I find interesting.
Oh, that's right, the book.
The book, and I think there's like a podcast and
Mm,
stuff. There's other stuff that's come before it, which has done really well,
yeah, right.
apparently.
Tell you what, really glad I have that Unknown 9 hoodie now. That's part of history.
I know. And you got the book, don't you?
And I do have the book, hardcover. Yeah,
Nice.
mate.
Good stuff.
Shout outs to Anya Chalotra.
I know. Big shout
Great
outs
gal.
to
Great chat. She was great.
her.
Bummer.
What?
This does it, like I'm being glib, but like bummer. This sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's, those studios, like your Don't Nods and that do kind of thrive in that tier.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on the news on the list, or am I going to reel off my little headlines?
No, you reel away.
Just a
Reel
couple
away,
of quick
Meryl.
ones. Chernobyl 2, which is actually on Kickstarter now, that has been funded within, I think, 4 days or something like that. And a cool thing is that they are going to be implementing a first-person and a third-person mode for that. So if you like Chernobyl, the first one, go check out the Kickstarter campaign for the second one. You can back that on there. And the other quick news was, before I find it, because I can't see it, I might delete the email. But the quick question for you, James. This is slightly off topics, but slightly news. What do you think of the Until Dawn trailer?
For the movie?
Yep.
Didn't even know it was out.
Didn't even know it was out. Well, that's great thoughts on that. Did you watch the... Oh, here we are. The new survival game from... So this is the team behind Stalker. Sorry, the original team behind Stalker: Shadow of Chernobyl. It's called Forest Rains. It looks really, really cool. If you like those kind of games, definitely give Forest Rains a look. Yeah, not sure when it's coming. Don't know when it's coming, but yeah, I thought if you're, I know we've got a few Stalker fans in our listener base, in our audience, so yeah, check out Forest Rains.
Vaguely 2025, so hopefully sometime this year.
Yeah,
but
I hope so.
Nah. We'll see about that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. They're just the couple little ones I want to shout out.
Nice, very good. Well, you know what that means? It's time for 2000s film of the week. Let's dive on in.
I'm on the spot here too. Are you ready? It's only me.
That's it. No, like, I've made it easy for you. I think you're good to go. So yeah. During the wars, a British captain pushes his ship and crew to their limits in pursuit of a formidable war vessel around the ocean. I've edited out some info there to make it a bit harder, but
during the wars, it's not Russell Crowe.
It is Russell Crowe,
Master and Commander.
That's the one.
And I'm my authentic captain's mate.
That's what a picture, by the way. Great film. Yeah,
great film. Yeah. I think Big Russ goes hard.
I think he does too. Yeah, I agree.
Now and again.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I made that one nice and easy for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're just lucky I've watched that film, because it could have been.
Well, it's like it's a quintessential Zach movie. It's a dude film. You know, it's a dad movie.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
You been watching anything?
No, I mean like Castlevania Nocturne season 2, which I had a good enough time with. I think that show would almost be better without a script sometimes. That thing is so well animated and so evocative, and yet the script is about as average as season 1, which is a shame. But yeah, I don't know. Had a good time with it. Thought it was fine. Other than that, I've been watching a fuckload of movies to get ready for the Oscar nominations, which are coming out. It'll be last night when this gets published. I'm just gonna quickly rattle off my letterboxed recent activity. I went and saw Amelia Perez, the drug cartel
Mm.
musical film.
Yeah.
Hated it. Bad
Okay.
movie. Rewatched Jaws, 5 stars, incredible, still amazing. It's
Probably
Jaws,
not going to win an
no
Oscar
notes.
this year, but
No,
good for you.
probably not, but you never know. Megalopolis, the Adam Driver kind of. Nah, see, I need Nathan here. I need Adam here. I need my movie
I don't,
people.
don't know.
I loved it though. Thought that was great, but people do not like it. And I watched Eraserhead for the first time because David Lynch has sadly left us,
Mm,
and so yeah, been doing a rewatch of his works. So also started Twin Peaks again. Fucking perfect show.
nice. Good stuff.
Yeah. What about you?
I really have nothing for you. I mean, for you personally, I finished Black Doves.
Oh,
Um,
yep.
solid enough. They're doing season 2, so happy with
Yep.
that. And then I've been watching, Missing You on Netflix, which has been fine.
Yep.
Um, and that's, I think like that's it. I haven't really had time to
Yeah.
watch much, with
I
the
get it. It's
Bucks,
a busy
and
time of year.
we've been doing a couple of night shifts. So
Mm,
um,
rough.
other than that, I got nothing, nothing for you.
Sweet.
And
Perfect.
do really want to go see Heretic though. So hopefully I can
I hear
fit
good
that
things.
in soon before it leaves.
Yeah. Big old Hugh Grant, eh?
Hugh Grant. Well, speaking of Hugh Grant, the new Electric Callboy song drops this Friday, so it'll be out when the
Does
podcast is
it?
out. So yeah, and it's got,
Okay.
can't remember. I think it's got someone in it in the video. I think I read. I don't
Mm,
think it's no one we
good.
know. It might be
Great.
like a famous
Not
German or
Hugh
something.
Grant.
Not Hugh Grant. That would be funny
Okay, that would be.
though.
All
Mm.
right. Well, these electric call boys, gonna call it. Let's go with that. Yeah. If you want, you can obviously read everything on the website well-played.com.au. We also have a YouTube channel, WellPlayed. Go find us over there. Zach's Assassin's Creed preview will be up, and so will mine over at Press Start. So go and read those two competing and yet complementary takes on a game. Yeah, thanks for joining us. I was about to do my outro for my like little Doctor Who podcast. I was like, that's not how we do things here. I just haven't done this podcast for a while. So yeah, cool.
Lovely to see you.
Great.
Welcome back.
You too. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Good to be back. Another year, hey.
Another year. All right.
Can't wait.
See you next week.
Goodbye.